Let's have a chat about when we should start to do more than body weight exercises in postpartum. It's kind of funny because there's a lot, there's some trends going around being like, don't do anything more than body weight before 8 to 12 weeks, which is really weird because, we're talking about getting ready to run. We need to build strength and we need to do strengthening beyond body weight exercises. I start body weight exercises with my postpartum clients like 2 to 3 weeks postpartum, and you can start before. I think a lot of moms that it's subsequent pregnancies, you're going to start a little bit earlier just because you're not trying to learn how to be a parent. But I'm thinking like both my kids were 8 pounds, 6 ounces at birth. That's more than body weight. And so the physical demands on your body are far more than body weight right off the bat. And it's an interesting overlay because you're trying to mash up stages of healing and making sure that those tissues are healing, but also a progressive gentle load. And so this is where the nuance really just, it's tricky. And social media is like, it's going to be different for each person. Depending on injuries, tissue status, whether your baby's sleeping, are you sleeping, are you getting nutrition, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of different details there that we have to navigate. So I think this idea that you can't do anything more than body weight up until 12 weeks is really kind of outdated. And especially if you're a first-time mom and you're hearing this and you don't understand these nuances, you're gonna get freaked out, but then you're also at that point potentially going to underload a pelvic floor that's probably prepared to handle it. What we understand the research, obviously, individual approach is best. If you don't have access to a pelvic floor PT or you're not symptomatic and you're like, all right, well, maybe I need to figure out how to go back on my own. If you're feeling okay, yeah, start body weight before 6 weeks, totally, but also don't feel scared to start to add a little bit of load. And for the love of God, don't feel like for the rest of your life you need to pre-contract your pelvic floor before every single rep and do an exhale before and during every single rep. I think some of these things are really kind of early coordination exercises, and we can use some of them to help mitigate symptoms. I like exhalation before and during instead of just on activity. Just ideally you're getting some pre-contraction of pelvic floor. I can see that from ultrasound imaging, but again, everybody's a little bit different. But I think keeping these like little tiny nuanced exercises, only doing body weight, like it reeks a little bit of back when I had my kids. Remember, my oldest is 14. Like it's almost a little bit too protective. And we have so much data now that's coming out about strength training during pregnancy, doing abdominal strengthening during pregnancy, getting back to some of these things much earlier in postpartum than we did before. And so I'm worried that we potentially might be falling into an underdosing trend. And yeah, I don't want people to be afraid of resistance and be afraid to progress, but also like there's just as much harm with underdosing. And if you want to know how that played out, those of us that had kids, 10 to plus years ago, we got underdosed. I feel like I'm still navigating that. And that's probably why I'm so sensitive about it, is if you've been in a period of time where people told you, don't do this, don't do that, it might cause diastasis, it might give you all these problems, and then you don't do anything, it takes a hell of a lot of time to get connected again and feel strong again. So I think that's where my concern comes from is we were told not to do anything, inadvertently underdosed, and I worry that by telling people, oh, don't do anything until, if that trend is coming back around again, I am not for it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're hearing. because I'm seeing this pop up and it's making me a little nervous.